Hey, welcome back to the Living in Coastal Virginia channel. My name is Dan Inman, and today we're going to talk about traffic in Virginia Beach and the surrounding areas. Let's go. Hey, welcome back to the Living in Coastal Virginia channel. My name is Dan, or Daniel, but most people call me Dan. So we're going to talk about traffic today. Before we hit into that, if you do me a favor at the end of this, if I've earned it, hit that little like button, maybe the subscribe button to see more content like this on Mondays and Fridays. As much as I like making this content, I'd love more to help serve your real estate needs, whether that's moving in or out or investing into the area. That's what we do on a daily basis. I help people buy homes. My wife helps them finance them. So all of our contact information is down below. You can hit us up down there and text or email, or maybe the easiest and best way to do it is to click the little link and schedule directly into our calendars, answer a few questions, and then we will help create a custom success plan to make sure that your transition in or out is very, very smooth. So let's talk about traffic. So traffic in the Hampton Roads area is not all that bad. It does get a decent rap. We usually rank in the top 50 across the nation. I believe this last year we ranked 44th out of all the major cities for congestion. Most of the information I'm going to be pulling from is from a website called TomTom. So they do a lot of data analytics and share that publicly. But most of what you'll see in the Hampton Roads area is going to be located along the highways. Totally makes sense, right? So you have 64, what's kind of a little bit of a misnomer here is we call it west and east, but it actually kind of loops all the way around Hampton Roads. So 264 is the easy one that goes east to west, but then you have 264, which does this nice big looping motion, and then it dumps into at the far north the HRBT, which has probably some of the worst traffic in the area, and loops back around through the bottom through their Chesapeake and all the way out through Portsmouth before it turns into 664. Now, I'm not going to get into every single road. We have something like 1.7 million people in our area, and that is kind of spread out over a decent amount of space. So if I got into every intersection, that might be a little complicated. Sean probably will put a scrolling theme of all of the intersections or major bridges and tunnels over my left shoulder here, and you can kind of see where we're going with this. So I just want to talk generally about what the traffic looks like here. So like I said, according to TomTom, we were ranked in congestion number 44 out of all the major cities in the United States. And I'm going to show you some comparisons on congestion levels of our area versus other major areas. So we're going to compare 2020 to 2019 and 2018. Obviously, with COVID-19, we had a huge decrease in traffic of last March and April, and it actually kept that way. I want to say overall, the way that TomTom had tracked it, we saw anywhere between 50% as low as 40% of the overall traffic. What was interesting, though, is that during COVID-19, actually, the traffic during the weekends was actually up, which kind of makes sense, right? You're in your house, confined all weekend long. You got to go grocery shopping. I know I did. I actually went out and just drove around because I needed to get out of the house. I didn't actually go anywhere. So I may have contributed to that traffic. I apologize. So showing some comparisons again, just for major cities. We've got Virginia Beach, Los Angeles, Miami, Washington, and New York. And although that we ranked in the top 50, we've always been somewhere around 40 or even 50% of what the congestion is of those major cities. So we have nowhere near what the traffic is. Now, if you're driving in that every single day, I realize that I'm downplaying that. I apologize. But the reality is that our congestion here is just nothing like those other major cities. So Virginia Beach in 2018 was 16%. 2019, 16%. Virginia Beach in 2020 went down to 13% congestion. Los Angeles, 40 42, 27, New York 36, 37, 26, Miami 30, 31, 23, and then Washington, D.C. 28, 29, and 17, respectively, for those 2018, 19, and 2020 years, right? So it's interesting looking at that. Everybody went up from 2018 to 2019, and then in 2020 basically got cut in just about half. But even then, in those years, all three examples of those, Virginia Beach has always been about half to 40% of what those major cities have been. You know, if you're used to driving in it, yes, you know the peak times and how to potentially just account for it. I believe the average for morning commutes, if you have to travel in traffic, is only added 7 minutes. The average commute is only added 11 minutes in evening commutes. But the number one worst possible traffic to get caught in is the evening traffic north on 64 going through the HRBT. It is garbage, awful. And all it takes is one person to forget to fuel up or get in a small accident. But it just the way that the tunnel like curves and the way that it's just laid out. You GPS, like you could set and say, you know, I need to schedule out 30 minutes to get from this place to someplace on the other side of the tunnel, right? Because I show houses all the time in Newport News and Gloucester and Pocosa and Williamsburg. And I've gotten to the point now where I account when it tells me half an hour, I double it. Whatever it says, I double it because it at any moment could turn into easily an hour wait. They are, however, looking to expand that, I believe, 2022. Okay, well, 24. Sean's probably right. We'll be corrected over my left shoulder again. And they're going to basically double the amount of lanes here. They're hoping that it's one of the largest construction projects, I believe, on the East Coast that's undergoing. It's extremely expensive, but the hope is that that will alleviate that, not only for traffic reasons, but actually for evacuation reasons. Obviously, we live here on the coastal line of Virginia, and so when hurricanes come in, we need to be able to safely evacuate, and if that needs to happen quickly, it's very, very difficult to do only through the bridges and tunnels that we currently have. So they do have great evacuation zones and plans. You want to make sure you pay attention to that during that season, but they are expanding it to make it a safer travel, both for evacuations and for daily traffic. Speaking of which, I'm actually right afterwards going to be going over to Newport News for a home inspection this morning, and I have accounted for that extra travel time. So let's talk about main congestion hours. In the morning, that is going to be between 6 and 9 a.m., and the peak is going to be right there around 6:30 to 7 a.m. So if you can shift your schedule just a little bit to avoid that, that will be the biggest congestion time in the mornings. In the evenings, that's going to be between 3 and 6 p.m. With the peak being right around 5, and there is a drastic drop off after 6. So if you can again shift it a little bit, I know everybody wants to get home to eat dinner or be with the family, but if you can go a little bit before that time frame right there at 5, 6, you might be able to save a lot of heartache, frustration, or road rage. Did I say road rage? No, road rage.
You didn't say road rage.
Road rage. Road rage. Like I had mentioned, the average is about 7 minutes in the morning added for your travel and about 11 minutes in the afternoon. But that does add up. Over time, that adds up to 2 days and 21 hours worth of added just sitting in traffic time. Now you could cook 1,990 pancakes during that time. You could knit 2 hats and 5 sweaters during that time. You could watch 62 episodes of Game of Thrones during that time. Or you could do 14 500-piece jigsaw puzzles during that time. So it does come at a cost, and those are all weirdly and absurd examples, but just to kind of give it perspective of how much time it actually does eat up and add to your life, it kind of sucks, right? By the way, those 7 minutes and 11 minutes added is on the average commute time of 30 minutes, which is pretty normal for our area. Again, like I said, it's kind of a spread out area overall. And so if you're traveling from Chesapeake to Norfolk, Norfolk to Chesapeake, Virginia Beach to Chesapeake, or any of the surrounding areas, the average commute time is about 30 minutes. One of the other notable things I will make about just specific travel times, which is kind of unique to our area outside of just regular work hours, is going to be Sundays during the summer. This might seem counterintuitive, but because we have a super high population of people that travel to the ocean front for vacationing, Sunday afternoons / kind of mid-afternoon can be an awful time to travel north on the HRBT, because you get all of those vacationers going home. So it is the worst. I will mention that we have several HOV areas or lanes in our area. It's totally worthwhile to go ahead and get that easy pass. I believe it's only $35 to get the transponder and about a $3 fee per year to keep up. You'll want to load the card up with about 35 to 50 bucks. Because as much as you may not be able to have somebody that rides with you all the time, sometimes that lane is much faster during traffic times than not having it. If you do a lot of traveling, you're going to want one of those transponders, because like myself, I do a lot of showing of homes, or if you do a lot of driving, those tolls can add up, and you cut the fee in about half to a quarter depending on the times that you go through those bridges and tunnels. And it's totally worthwhile. I actually have a client recently that told me they're moving from, we're doing their walkthrough on their new construction home in Norfolk tomorrow, and they said that they realized that just yesterday that they're going to save $200 a month on fees just because they travel back and forth to Norfolk so often. One of the things I will say that I am grateful here that we don't, that maybe Los Angeles has, is lane splitting. One, I just don't think it's very safe, but I think it would add potentially to the crashes that come up here. Obviously, also crashes happen most often during those peak times. I will say that a few resources obviously to use if you're going to try to navigate this. I'm a big Google fan myself. Waze is a decent one. I probably only use that one on road trips because I get to see where the speed traps are. And there's some like social integration that happens that makes it maybe a little bit better, but I like Google Maps overall. So what I typically do, will actually plug in the phone, plug in the address, and about 10 to 15 minutes from when I want to leave, and just see if there's an optimal time to leave early, or if it spikes up really quickly and I can see like it might be worth waiting 30 minutes, knock out a little bit more work, and then leave in 30 minutes rather than leave right now. One of the things I'll note about, Sean and I were laughing off screen about, was the voices. Sean used to have an old TomTom, and who'd you have prior? Steve Irwin on there.
What? Crikey! Did you say that?
So I believe Waze still has the Cookie Monster. That's still my favorite. So when I do travel with the kids, having Cookie Monster tell you to take the next exit is absolutely hilarious.
Cookie, me love cookie.
From what I understand, Waze also uses a little bit more battery power, but hey, who cares? You have a car charger, right? So it doesn't really matter. The last resource I think I'll leave you with here is that the Virginia Department of Transportation and the Virginia Pilot both have maps. Let's say you have the same route every single day, and you know that there's common areas that have crashes. You can go actually check these traffic cams to see what it looks like instantaneously to help make that decision on when to leave, or if it might be worth delaying leaving work or going to work if you have that ability to flex. Hey, thanks again. We talked about traffic today in the Virginia Beach / coastal Virginia area. If you find this content helpful, please hit that like button. Consider subscribing on the little bell notification to get notifications on Mondays and Fridays when we drop new content like this. And like always, as much as I like making this content, we'd love to serve your real estate needs for you and your family, whether that's transitioning in and buying a home or leaving the area and selling a home. I work on the real estate side and my wife works on the mortgage side, and we have a team dedicated to serve you and your family. All of our contact information is down below, but if you would like to schedule a time directly into our calendar without even calling us, you can go down there and schedule it just like a doctor's appointment, and we'd love to hear from you. So until next time, see you later, Kova.